All right, I'm here with Iman Reeves, man. What's going on, brother?
Hey man, I'm living, man. I'm living,
Yeah.
living, bro.
How you been?
Man, I've been good, bro. Adulting, man. So
Yeah.
that's about the size of it, bro. That's about the
That ain't
size.
shit, is it?
Hey, tell me about it. Tell me about it, bro.
So I told some of my brothers you're gonna be on the podcast. So the first thing I want to start off with is CCRD, bro. He wanted me to ask you. Hold up, let me look up what exactly he said. It was coming from my brother Daryl. You remember Daryl?
Yeah, yeah.
He told me to ask you how the Bills beat the Chargers in the championship.
How the Bills beat the Chargers in the championship? What was that? 2000, what, like nine, something like that.
Dog, that was a long time ago.
Jeez,
That's when Daryl was coaching, bro.
that's what I'm saying, bro. I was like, I think I was probably like maybe 10 or 11.
Yeah.
I remember the game though. I remember the game. We were playing that. We played at Greenbrier High School. How did we win, bro? Coach Trevor. Shout out to Coach Trevor.
Shout out to Coach
He
Trevor.
just, yeah, we ran all the right plays, man. Misdirection, cross
You
bucks. We was gashing them. We
What
was
you mean is
gashing them.
you ran all running plays is what you mean.
I mean, for the most part, yeah, for the most part, but for the
Iman,
most part, man.
besides D'Lo, you're the one of the most prolific running backs who came through Columbia County. You know that, right?
I don't like the hype on it,
I know
but
you.
I
I know you
mean,
like being humble. I know, understand that. I've met you. I've talked to you. I understand you're a humble guy. That's cool. But
yeah.
when it came to Augusta, when it came to Columbia County, all the way up through high school, you were a prolific running back. Prolific, bro. But like I said, besides D'Lo did his thing in middle school and high school. It's between you and D'Lo, from what I can remember, right? And AJ Brown was good too. Let's give him his props as well. But you and D'Lo, like that's it. Like that's the most I can remember. Like running backs coming out of Columbia County.
Yeah, man. Shout out to D'Lo too, man. He went on to did his thing at Savannah State and McNeese, I believe. But
Yeah,
man, that was a time. We were just doing the things. I think I was one of the bigger running backs that could move that
yeah,
nobody else has saw in a very long time. So when I hit the scene with it, and I started playing running back, Coach Trevor and CCRD, and I started at fullback, and they figured out that I could move a little bit, and then it just went from there. So
yeah.
man, that time, CCRD going through, Grovetown Middle School. Shout out to Coach Neeraj. I saw your episode with him. And up through high school, man, it was a game changer. It was a game
Yeah.
changer for sure.
So before we reminisce, let's talk about this. What are you doing now after football? How has Iman's life changed?
Oh man, after football, whoo! So I graduated high school in 20. I took a walk-on position at Ole Miss. So I spent 2 years at Ole Miss in the SEC. That was crazy in itself. So things happen, coaching changes and things like that. So I decided to hang up the cleats. Then I transferred to Georgia State and graduated from college with my bachelor's in marketing in
There we go.
2022. And then I hit the ground running. I started my professional career at Paramount. So I was in New York.
There we go.
I recently
Explain
just
that.
left
Explain that
Paramount.
experience for us. How was New York? Were you staying in New York City or New York State? What part of New York? Which borough were you at?
Yeah, no, I was in Manhattan. So I lived in DC. I was commuting back and forth because I was on a hybrid schedule. The cost of living in New York is
Crazy.
astronomical. So
Yeah.
I commuted back and forth a few times a month. Right on Broadway, Paramount HQ in New York City. So man, that experience is crazy, man. Getting the foot in the door in the media entertainment industry was crazy, man. My journey there was literally, I didn't imagine myself being there, but that was something that I can say I experienced, almost like football, man. It was one of those things that changes your perspectives on a lot of things. Like I saw, the behind the scenes of all the big award shows, whether it be like the MTV Awards, some of the Grammy stuff, the Super Bowl that just passed. So having the opportunity to work behind the scenes of that stuff and advertising, man, it's crazy. It was
Yeah.
crazy, man.
Well, I'm happy for you, brother. That's dope. I'm glad you
And
found
I
another avenue for you, dog. That's awesome. You remember when? So what was it? I was out there doing my senior project, and I think you went out
hmm
there to Grovetown Middle School too. Do you do that often? Do you go back to the middle schools, to the high schools you were at, and try to, build some type of communication with the kids growing up?
Oh no, absolutely, man. That's the biggest thing for me. I'm just giving back to the community that gave so much to me, man. I would have not have been that running back that people know had it not been for, Grovetown Middle School and, my brief stint at Grovetown High School and Augusta
Yeah,
Christian. So now whenever I can and whenever I'm home, man, that's what it is to me to go back and just hang out with the students, man, and, let people know that, especially the athletes, like you're more than just the sport that you play. That's one of the hardest things to understand and to recognize. So as much as I can go back and give back to those kids, man, and just kind of share that message in my own personal journey, I think the better off they'll be. That's something that
yeah,
I
for sure.
that I know for sure I didn't have coming up through through the the ranks of high school and stuff like that. So man, for me, I think it's very important for the kids, man, to kind of see that and where we come from.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, what type of advice are you giving to these cats coming up?
I think my best advice that I always give is to, don't take where you're at for granted. You know what I mean? Whether that's if you in sport or in school. High school, I know we used to complain about high school is tough and this and that. And at that point we just being lazy. But like adulthood and like doing all this stuff now, man,
It's
I wish I
different.
could go back to high school.
It's different,
Life
bro.
life was good back then.
Oh, I know.
Life was good back then. But
I loved high school, man. So tell the kids, anybody who listens to this may be an athlete.
mhm,
Why did you go from Grovetown to what's it called? You switched schools
Christian.
to Augusta Christian. So
Yeah, I
what
guess.
was your big? What was it a thing where you wanted to get recognized more? Was it a thing you thought you could get looked at more? What was that? And how was that decision made?
Yeah, no, it was a kind of a mix of both. Coming into high school that freshman year, like you said, the whole running back situation from CCRD, all the rec stuff through middle school. Coming to high school, I kind of compare it to college recruiting. The coaches in your ear and selling you a dream, and you're gonna start and we're gonna play you in this and that, and
Yep.
then it kind of don't happen. And then you have certain situations where they kind of put you in a bind. You know what I mean? Where they're kind of not giving you the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And that's not me boasting on myself and saying that I should have been gay because I was out there playing and busting my ass like everybody else. But for me going to Augusta Christian, it was a new environment. It was a smaller school at the time when I went in 20. We had a couple of big.
Were they 3 or 2A? Private, right?
Yeah, so we always switched between 3 and 2A. When I got there, we were three, and then by the
Okay.
time I graduated, we were two. Now I think they're like four. I could be
Okay.
wrong, but now, yeah, when I got there, they had a couple of big recruits coming out. Zach Jella, he ended up going to Clemson. Calvin Taylor ended up going to Kentucky. We had a couple of guys go to some smaller schools and stuff like that. So when I came in, it was just I just wanted the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? I didn't come there asking for it. I wanted to earn the position.
Yeah.
So when I got there, I went through that summer workout. That was probably the toughest summer workout I've ever been through. Shout out to Coach Keith Walton. That was the difference maker. But I earned that position. I got there, and I did the thing with it, man. I did
Yeah.
what I came there to do was to still get my education and make sure I got into every school I wanted to go to. But I excelled in football and track and field, and so they gave me the opportunity to do that, and that's what I ran with.
Gotcha. Yeah. So Iman then, when Iman was playing football, what was Iman's
Yeah.
biggest motivation? What was Iman's biggest inspiration? What caused Iman to want to be the best when it came to football?
For me, man, it was of course my mom. Man. That's my dog. That's my best friend.
I
We talk
understand.
every day, even though I live 8 hours away now. We still talk every day. But the thing was, I saw how, my mom, how we struggled coming up, but how she sacrificed everything where I didn't really notice the struggle until I got, in high school and stuff like that and was able to, comprehend a little bit more. But for me, it was about, it was the NFL, big lights, big dreams. I had to make my mama proud. I had to, to go do everything to make sure that she was straight. You know what I'm saying? So
No, I get it.
for me, that was a thing for me. And, I think that's one of the reasons why I ran so hard and, why I did the things that I did. I just knew that if I was going to be good, she was going to be good and we was going to live like that. You know what I mean?
That's
So, nah, biggest
that's how it
motivation,
goes,
man.
bro. Especially in a big family like mine. Like your mom's your biggest
Yeah,
inspiration, right? That's always how
y'all
it
got the
is.
plan. Y'all the plan, man. The
Dog,
young blood plan.
we got a football team, bro. We got a football
No,
team.
for real, y'all got a couple of teams
Y'all got a
starting
football
lineups,
team.
man.
So tell us, growing up in football, what was your development? Do you feel like you was a little bit higher than everybody else? I know you're a humble guy, but I'm gonna I'm try to get it out of you today. Do you feel like you were a level above everybody? Do you feel like you were just a little bit better, or do you feel like that was just you working your ass off?
No, that came with work, man. When I started at the running back position, I wasn't the fastest. Definitely wasn't the biggest. I just had the heart for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So for me, it was the work ethic, man. The natural ability, of course, I had that, as I grew into my size, into my frame and stuff like that and everything else. But like the speed and everything else that I was doing, man, came with work, hours and hours after practice, or me showing up a little bit earlier, catching, or me, practicing 40s with Coach Walton and, doing all these speed drills and resistance training, bro. It just came with the work, man. So everything that I did, I attest that to my God given ability. So I thank him every day for that, and everything else was just the work. If I had the ability to do it and to put the work in, that's what I was gonna do. And so when it comes to ranking and stuff like that, I just thought I was the hardest worker. I never looked to the left or to the right. It was just the
Yeah.
end zones.
So tell me
Yeah.
this: if you had the chance to go back to either high school or middle school, would you strap up today?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Most
Would you
definitely. I
strap
would.
up today?
Man, I look at my film all the time, like from high school, dude, and I be looking like, dang, I gave up so many touchdowns trying to run over people. Like I would avoid the end zone to go hit somebody in the mouth, and I'd be like, dang, I could have had like 2,000 yards if I just kept running straight and not to people. So,
Yeah,
man, all the things that I know now and the things that I learned through college and stuff, man, I would go back and strap up, and man, I probably what I was times a trillion, man.
yeah.
So, that's hey, I miss it. I miss it.
Reminiscing is a bitch, ain't it?
Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about it,
So
man. Tell me about
there was this quote from Brian Dawkins. He said he wanted to take everybody's soul he touched. You remember Brian Dawkins, the
it.
cornerback for
Yeah,
Eagles? He wanted to take
yeah,
everybody's soul he touched whenever he hit them.
oh, yeah, yeah.
Is that the reason you wanted to hit people? Is that why you didn't just juke around them or go around them? You wanted to take their soul and put a little bit of respect, make them respect you. Basically, you want to make sure that when they're laying on the ground, you're like, "Oh, I'm still up." Is that the type of
Oh,
mentality you had?
yeah, that bro, man, that was definitely one of them. It was one of those things where I had to make you not want to hit me no more. Of course, like you said, like it was the hype around Reeves is doing this and doing that, so we got to hit him in the mouth. And I'm like, I would come to games like I got to hit you in the mouth before you get me. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's like the Medea movie. What's that movie? I Can Do Bad. It's one of the Medea movies. She was like,
yeah.
yeah, I got to get got, or you gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like that was my thing. So it was a
No, that was
combination of
Marshawn. That was Marshawn Lynch. He says, "I'm not gonna get God." I don't know what he exactly said. That was Marshawn Lynch,
yeah,
like for the Super Bowl.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so no, man, that was me, man. It was, of course, definitely if I hit you in the mouth a few times, you were gonna have that respect for me, and I wasn't gonna get up and talk to you when I did it. You know what I'm saying? It's the next
yeah,
play. I was never the big trash talker. I let my play do it for me, and
yeah,
I took it from there. So, when I think about it, that was definitely one of the things. And then I just had like a lot of built up anger from just
yeah,
like childhood stuff and things like that. So that was my way to legally get it out without me going to
yeah.
jail.
So
So
basically, what you're
yeah,
saying is it was the cheapest point of therapy you could find.
absolutely
Yeah,
debt free. Now I didn't have to put
yeah,
in no
free.
insurance,
No,
no nothing. I was gonna put on a helmet and some
yeah.
pads, and that's what it was gonna be. That's what
So
it
it was
was gonna
basically
be.
some therapy for you. So a lot of people don't understand that. Like when I played, when my brother played, it wasn't only playing for the competitive spirit. Obviously, I grew up with 8 brothers. That was very competitive for me. I wanted them in the stand watching me ball out. I wanted that type of situation. But not only
Yeah,
that, it was able for me to put myself on a platform and take some anger out, take some anxiety out, take some suppression, whatever it may be. Because growing up, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things we go through as men that certain people don't understand, right? Whenever your
most definitely.
testosterone, once you hit puberty and that testosterone starts coming in, you're like, yeah, I'm about to take somebody's head off.
Yeah,
What is the biggest hit you've had where you're like, damn, maybe I should have took it a little slower? But whether it's Bull in the Ring, whether it's Oklahoma drills, what situation where you're like, damn, maybe I should have took a little slow on that guy?
oh man.
I know there had to be some plays or practice plays or some one on ones where you were like, "Damn, I took his helmet off. His helmet and his pads are off centered right now." Is there anything like that?
Yeah, I remember a game where we played Oak Brook Prep. This is a little small school, and I think I want to. It's some part of South Carolina, and we were down. This team, they were killing us, and they were the worst in the region, and we were looked
Yeah,
at to go to the playoffs and stuff, and we were getting killed by them. And by that time, my mom likes to come out of the stands and talk trash to me to get me riled up and to
I
piss me
understand
off.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
understand that. That
yeah,
was
so
Daryl for me, bro. That was Daryl for me. If I did
yeah,
something, I could throw 4 touchdowns that day, and I threw one pick. You'd be like, "What the fuck was that? Why you throw that
exactly.
pick? You could have made that
Yeah.
read. What are you doing?"
Exactly. So my mom would come out the stand and she'd be like, "Oh, you out there acting tired. You act like you can't play. Like they just finna run out." So at that point, I'm already mad because we losing. So now I
Yeah,
got my mom in my ear. So we played this team and coming out of the second half, man, I remember taking we ran a stretch play to the right and I saw the alley just going straight to the end zone and this kid, I think he was probably like 6'2". He was a pretty big boy, but just straight laid into him on the film. You can see his helmet roll over to our sideline, and then but the cameraman is on the opposing sideline, and you can see all the teammates talking about some like his head just popped off or his rolling over. And I remember that, and I was like, I think that game, that was when I kind of sparked the fear into that other team. Like,
Yeah.
we got to take over now, and we did, and we came back and won. So
See,
my
the
job,
growing up for me, I wasn't the biggest dude, right? I
yeah,
relied on my speed and my accuracy to make a point and prove what I could do. So,
yeah.
as someone who was bigger, as someone who had that athleticism, what does that feel like? Whenever you know, like, is that something you experience as soon as it happens, or do you look after, like on film, or maybe just look behind you and like, damn, I just really ran him over? What does that feel like?
Man, it's a film type of thing where we look back at film, and in the moment, like, of course, you do it, and you might feel the impact and stuff in the next play, but the next film day when we looking at film, it's like, damn, you did that. But then, like, but when it come, like I was saying before, like, I could have ran somebody over, but I gave up a touchdown. So supposed to be like, hey, you punished him, but if you had a ran this alley, you would have scored. And I'd be like, I mean, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, low key. But
Exactly.
man, it was interesting to see every film where I would do something or I'd make a cut, and I'm like, I don't even remember doing that. It was just kind of
Yeah.
like a type of thing. But like I said, that all came with the practice and just the constant progression of run through the progression of the actual position of a running back. So all
Yeah.
the camps I went to, just all the extra stuff I did. Shout out to Coach David Samusu. That was my running back coach at Augusta Christian. But doing all the extra stuff, man, it translated to the game. I didn't know it until we looked back at the film. So half God given, half hard work. That's what it was.
So tell me this, what's the biggest difference between a private school such as Augusta Christian versus a public school as Grovetown? What's the biggest difference? Do you feel like you were able to work more on certain areas? Did you have more training in certain areas? What was that like?
The biggest difference was just it was definitely more hands on. Of course, Growtown is a very big team, and Augusta Christian we probably had all of maybe 30, 40 players compared to Grovetown 70, 80. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was definitely a lot of specialized training. For the guys that wanted to go to the next level, of course, the coaches know. So it's a little bit more effort put on us, to me at least. Whereas when I was at Grovetown, it was like, all right, it's kind of like you wing it a little bit,
Yeah.
especially when you coming in as a freshman. They don't really know your whole potential, and they're trying to wait until you grow into your body and stuff like that. But for me, that was the biggest thing between the two schools is just amount of effort that the coaches were given to get us to where we wanted to be, whether it was academically or athletically. When I got to Augusta Christian, they were taking me on college trips, and all my coaches were taking me to. They were taking me to my unofficials. They were taking me to
Yeah.
college camps. I went on a 4-day college recruiting trip, and we went all up the East Coast. I think we went to 4 or 5 schools in like 4 days or something like that. And we ended up all the way up in like at Liberty and stuff like that. So it's just the amount of effort, that I think that the coaches gave me was the biggest
Yeah.
difference for me. And, I think that's just what worked for me. For everybody else, it's different. So I don't dog either one, private or public. I think it's all just personal preference at the end of the day.
I got you. So
Yeah.
tell me, I've talked to a couple players already on this podcast about how different high school compared to college was.
Mhm.
Your biggest takeaway from college, what was that? What do you think your biggest takeaway was?
You can never work hard enough. You ain't the big dog no more. Everybody the big dog.
Everybody big. See, that's what I heard a lot of. Is everybody's being recruited because they were the shit at their high school. So
Yeah,
now
yeah.
when you get there, you realize, oh shit, I'm not the only one here who can do the things I was doing in high school.
hmm
And how did that affect you, bro? Like when you got there, did you look at it like a motivational factor? Is that something that brought you down a couple sizes? What was that like for you?
Man, it was a mix of it, man. To be quite honest with you, it was definitely motivating because some of these guys are in the NFL now. For me personally, I was on the same team as AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, Dawson Knox. Before I got there, Lamory Tunsil just had went to the league. So seeing those guys was motivating, bro. And then going to practice and you got 28 teams out there watching
Yeah,
everybody. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you want to be on your P's and Q's. But then it could be very depressing and downing too when these same guys have gotten so much into their head, and I'm already going to the league, so it becomes a selfish game for some people, and they stop
yeah,
being teammates. They just start
yeah,
being individuals on the team, man. So at that point, like if you asking somebody for help, and they be like, they kind of brush you off and be like, well, damn, like I thought we was a team, but
Yeah,
that's the reality of it. But man, it's definitely you're not the top dog no more. Your work is you never work. You can never work too hard, and you're never in the best shape that you thought you was in. College
yeah,
conditioning is insane.
different. Yeah,
It's hell
yeah.
when the lights is off and the preparation that goes into those Saturdays, man. It's a different type of grind for sure.
So for you, what was the biggest aspect that changed from high school to college? What was it the training? Was it the diet? What exactly was that?
Man, it was all of that, bro. The diet has a direct correlation with the training. If
Yeah,
you're not eating right, ain't no way that you can train at the level that you're supposed to.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So when it came to diet, I came in at I think I want to say, and some of our bigger backs were like they were a lot leaner than me. So coach actually wanted me to go lose weight, which he wanted me to lose body fat to get kind of leaner, and then kind of put it on gradually as we went on. So that was the biggest thing, and then just like the training aspect of it, and the intensity of the training was so new. Like I feel like in high school, like we kind of got away with, not touching the line or, you can let up. But in college, like you got, seven different conditioning coaches staring at you at all times. So you running a sprint and you pull up even a little bit, everybody starting over. So it's just like the constant effort, the consistent effort that you
yeah,
have to give on that level is so much different. And that translates into life now and what I do now. Like if it's not a constant effort, a consistent effort, then I don't make no money. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it all translated. So I'm grateful for it.
How is Iman different now from Iman whenever he played football?
Man, Iman
And
now.
is there a difference?
Yeah, no, definitely, man. There's a big difference. I don't feel like I'm a machine anymore. You know what I'm saying? Playing football, like you have to learn. Even as an Iman now, you have to learn how to turn it on and turn it off, depending on what you're talking about. In my profession of sales, I have to learn how to turn it on and turn it off. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But now I don't feel like a machine. I don't feel like everywhere I go, it has to be, Iman the football player. You know what I mean? Does
yeah.
that make
No,
sense? So
yeah,
I,
absolutely.
yeah, I don't have to carry around the identity football anymore. That was such a big weight on my shoulder. And then when I decided to step away from the game, that's entirely another different story because it all plays to who I am now. So me now, I'm just me, bro. I'm
Yeah,
calm, I'm cool, I'm collective, I'm humble. I wear the necklace with my number around my neck, so I get asked about it and stuff like that. And it's not. It used to be a conversation that I used to dread because I missed the game and I
yeah,
wasn't playing. And I didn't feel like I fulfilled what I was set out to do. But now it's a conversation where I can tell people about the lessons that I've learned and how the game of football got me to where I am now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So that I think that's the biggest difference with me right now, man. So, hey, it all translated, and
yeah.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
So how is the motivation changed? You still have the same motivation. Your mama is your biggest motivation, or is there other things leading you towards what your goals are?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think my mom was always gonna be there because I always think in the back of my head like the sacrifices that she made for me and all that good stuff. Now, some of the more things that I think about is like now I'm thinking about just my future, me and my girlfriend, and what I want the future to look like for us and future family. So that's a different type of grind when you're trying to provide for other people now. And of course, like I said, like I think about sacrifice now too. Like now I can kind of do the or be doing some type of sacrifice to make sure my future is straight, whether that be going a little bit harder at my job, studying a little bit more, gaining more knowledge, those type of things, and letting some of the worldly things go. I don't have to go out every weekend. I don't have to be in everybody's face doing whatever, but if it's something that's making me better, then that sacrifice is worth it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That those
So
are the biggest things for me. Yeah.
yeah. So do you feel like now there's a lot less pressure on you? Because in Columbia County, everybody knew about Iman Reeves. Everybody knew about this dude who was, coming through. He was doing his thing. He was running people over. He was running 1,000 yard seasons. Like he was doing his stuff. Do you
Yeah.
feel like there's less or more pressure now that you're in your own city? You're doing your own thing. You got your, business going. What do you feel like? Do you feel like you're less or more pressure?
I think the only pressure that I have on me, less pressure from the world for sure, but I always have a consistent pressure on myself to be better. You know what I mean? So it's always one of those things where I'm my own worst critic. I think that'll forever be a thing where I have a problem with giving myself grace when I don't feel like I'm excelling fast enough or I'm not doing something,
Yeah.
good enough. So the pressure will always be on myself. That'll always be high, but the pressure from the outside world is not nearly what it was football playing days. I feel like people have seen what I did and they respect it, and I still have people asking me about it, and I feel like I left my mark on the football world in Columbia County, and hey, I did what I did, and I'm grateful for it, and it's cool to be looked at like that, from individuals like yourself and anybody else that I played against. So
Yeah.
the pressure is always on for me, but everywhere else, man, I did it and it's done, and that's what it is.
So I don't know if you've been to Grovetown Middle School recently, right? But your helmet and the football you signed is still
Yeah,
in a case there.
yeah.
Do you ever miss being looked upon like that? Do you ever miss being talked about like that? Or is that a thing that you weren't looking for? You were solely trying to play football and make it to the next level?
Yeah, man, I never looked at it for the hype or for people to be like, Imam was this. That was never me. I never liked the spotlight. If you ask Coach Neeringer or any of my other coach, I hate it. I never wanted to be the leader on the team. I never
Yeah.
wanted to be the vocal guy. I never wanted to be the guy that was like, oh, come on, guys, and we gotta do this. And that was never me. It was always a team effort for me. Like if I could be just the best teammate that I could be, then that's what I was gonna do. It was
Yeah.
never about me, never about what I was doing, because I couldn't do what I was doing without the team. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's how I thought. And for them to still have that football and my helmet still at the middle school, that is crazy. I could have sworn that they would have done whatever with that, but I think that is so cool to me. That
Yeah.
that's
So you're
amazing.
being very humble, Iman, and I appreciate that. I do appreciate your mom raised you well. I do appreciate that.
I appreciate it.
But you have to be able to, I mean, you have to be able to look at it and be like, damn, I had a hell of a stretch. Like from
Free.
when I was at the middle school, when I was at the high school, whenever I transferred to Augusta Christian, like you have to feel some type of not confidence, but kind of like almost a cockiness about it. Like that was me. You can't look at that like, nah, it is what it is. But you have to be able to look at that like,
Man, I think the main thing that keeps me so humble is I always, in the back of my head, I always knew that it could be over at some point. Whether it was when I got to college or if I was to blow out my knee at some other point, I always knew it could be over with. So I always looked at it, my faith is everything to me. And I always looked at it as, I don't know why God gave me this talent and what to use it, what for, or how far I'll go with it. But if I was doing it for his glory, then people will always talk about me. And that's what I'm seeing now. You know what I mean? When it's all said and done, um, you're right. I did do my thing, man. I had some pretty amazing. No. I agree with that. I think it's about scheme too. If you're not running if you don't have the correct people on the line to run the scheme that you want to run, and it doesn't work. I know when I got to Grovetown, we were still running the wing T. We didn't have the size on the line for the wing T. So the wing T, the only people that run the wing T now is like the military academies. You got Army and Navy, they run it. So man, look, man, the wing T was, yeah. We weren't running the correct scheme for. We had yeah, no, yeah. Hunter Peace was a quarterback, and then we had like, what was it? Skylar Vance was a quarterback at one time. Yeah. Skylar was athletic. Who else? But yeah, the wing T for Grovetown was not it. We should have run the wing T at all. Now see, that's, I'm not gonna lie, that was always my fit because I was the running back with the power and the speed. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was because I was a balanced back, so it worked for scheme. If the offense was kind of revolving around a run game, it worked for me. I know, like with Coach Trevor, that's why it worked. So we ran I formation, single back. We didn't even run like the pistol or anything like that. It was just straight downhill running. Yeah, definitely. On a simpler form, yeah. Stalling Island. Yeah, right. Yeah, man, yeah. They make the plays happen for sure, for sure. We didn't start running spread until I got to Augusta Christian. So that was my first time running out of an I formation and taking a handoff from the shotgun and stuff like that. Like that was a big change for me because I didn't know how to. That was when I really started learning the position. So I had to learn how to be patient. I had to learn how to let a play develop and stuff like that. But like you said, when you have an O line with Zach Giella, Zach in high school was 6'6", right at 300 pounds. Calvin Taylor was 6'10", playing tackle. And then we had a great guy, Justin Richburg. Justin Richburg was probably like my height, maybe a little bit taller, but strong as an ox. And he was a big boy then, so he was just laying people out. So man, an old line like that, you can make some things shake. But when we talk about like like middle school and what Grovetown was doing, we were just trying to get the simplest thing so we can get the playoff. And then whatever was gonna happen then was gonna happen then. But I think, in my early time at Grovetown, like what we were doing is we made the offense a little bit too complicated because the wing T blocking schemes are very complicated. Like you pretty much got to bear crawl into somebody, and then nobody on the O line, minus a few people, knew exactly who to block or how fast that they could get there. So it was one of those things where the scheme just didn't match what we had, and that was the biggest downfall for Grovetown to me. You know what I mean? So yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I think in middle school, I think some offenses are just too complicated for what you have. You know what I mean? When I was in middle school at Grovetown, trying to think. No, we never did any shotgun. They didn't start doing the shotgun like you said to y'all. So we were strictly running downhill, and they did that up in like you said until D-Lo. But then after that, I just think like at some point there was just a complicated thing that the kids. It was just a disconnect between the kids and the coaches. Where the O line. Since we're talking about that, you have to learn how to pass block. We didn't really. They didn't really have a coach to teach them how to pass block and what a kick step was, and what I'm saying, how to use your hands. So that's what I mean. Like it became a little too complicated in some aspects because certain things you can teach kids at that age. But I feel like for the talent that we had on the O line or that y'all had on the O line at that point, I don't know, maybe it was too much. I could be wrong, I could be right, But yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. It's always every step counts. Every step counts. I didn't learn that until I got to Augusta Christian. That was the difference for me, taking that time to develop and kind of learn the little things. They used to make us do like up downs for false stepping, or like my coach had us do a drill where he would put like a bag behind us. So every time you would like do a false step or kick back the bag, you would like slip and mess up the play, and everybody be pissed off because you got to go up down now. So the little things that made us disciplined and made us different made us all that much better. You know what I mean? Whether it was footwork or throwing into a net or catching 50 balls after practice, it's the little things that need tweaking. That's what differentiates a player from being good and being great. You know what I mean? Two things really. Especially now in my life, now that I'm a little bit older. Dang, that sounds crazy to say. It sounds wild to say. um, two things. Number one being, understanding your why. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're playing a team sport. You got to be a teammate. If your why is only for self, then I think you got to go take up a different sport. You know what I'm saying? If you're not willing to sacrifice something for the team, you got to go do something different. If you're not willing to sacrifice social time and stuff like that, are you willing to be great? Do you just talking about all these goals, or are you actually doing it? You know what I mean? And number two would just be to work at it, man. You got to work at it. You are never going to be perfect. You can only progress at something and become gradually better. But if you don't dedicate the time to work at something, athletics or academics, how can you be better at it? How can you come back and say, oh, I'm good at this? You know what I'm saying? Like those are the two biggest things. And I think, excuse me, with the age of social media and how everything is going, I think kids get lost in the sauce when they see that. You know what I mean? So they see things and want it fast. Granted, some of these things may happen fast for other people, or and stuff like that. But anything that happens fast don't last. You know what I'm saying? That's how I think about anything in life. But if I can gradually work at something and get better every single day, or I can see improvement, or somebody else can see improvement and tell me you're doing better at this, then whatever I'm doing, I know it's working. So just those two things: understand your why, what motivates you, are you willing to sacrifice, and just work, man. The work will take you further than anything else, if you ask me. Yeah, man, I have nothing going on. As far as like marketing and like business stuff like that, I have a degree in marketing. So um that's like something that like, my girlfriend's an entrepreneur, so I'm always helping her with her business, pitching new ideas and different ways to expand her stuff. But for me right now, I am a market development representative for a company by the name of Centos. You've probably seen like the trucks going around and stuff like that with big Centos logos on them. pretty much servicing businesses. So that's what I do now, man. I work in sales. It's a fun job. I get to meet a lot of new people. I get to pitch a product that I believe in a lot, and I get paid to do it. So that's pretty much what I'm doing now, man. And then pretty much just trying to, I think, well, not I think, but I know on the 14th in Baltimore, I'll be in Baltimore for this mentorship for inner city kids, and we're teaching like interview tips, interview questions, kind of like doing mock interviews and stuff like that. So I'll be in Baltimore in like a month doing that. So for me, it's just about finding any way that I can fit in and get in. That's what I'm doing now, man. So my passion is just making sure that these kids get to where they want to be, finding the way to get there, and just doing it the safe way, man. The world is crazy out here, bro. It's crazy stuff happening everywhere. So if one of these kids can remember what I say, or just remember a face, or whatever the case may be, then I think I'm doing the Lord's work at that point. So no, that's what I have going on. Yeah, right now I live in Maryland, man. I just moved from DC. Now I live in Maryland. I work in Maryland. My territory. Yeah, like in the DMV, everything is like maybe like 5, 10 minutes away, depending on the cities that you live in. So right now, I live about 25 minutes away from DC, so I didn't move too far. I just moved to the outskirts a little bit. But yeah, man, I've been living up north for going on like 3 years, man. So I don't miss the heat. I don't miss the heat, man. It's hot. I don't, man. Hey, we had our first big snow up here. I was like, is this really what this is? It's like one of the biggest snows in like the past 5 years. But man, I be suited and booted like yourself right now on a day-to-day basis. It's like right now we getting right into spring. Oh, I get to experience all 4 seasons, so that's a cool thing. So I ain't out here sweating. It get a little warm here and there, but man, if I was in Georgia doing what I do now, man, I'd go through about 4 or 5 shirts a day, man. For real. But staying in the gym and everything like that, man, same old, man. Just making sure the body can still move, making sure I stay looking decent at least. And man, I'm just living, man. Living, man. Positive, positive. Everything's positive, man. If anything, man, y'all don't believe in nothing else, and I'm not doubting or downing nobody else's or what y'all believe in, but make sure you have a relationship with God, man. That's gonna get you further than anything else in life, further than what I'm telling you, further than what anybody else can tell you. Just pick up the good book, and it'll tell you all you need to know. Is all the secrets to life are in there. So that's just my biggest thing, man. Keep God first. Keep working hard. Keep being yourself. Don't get imposter syndrome. You ain't got to be like everybody else to make some money. You ain't got to be like everybody else to be known. Your own authentic self will make you known enough, and the right people will notice you when it's time, man. So that's my positive outlook. I appreciate the person. Yes, sir. Absolutely, man. I appreciate you for having me, dog. Yes, sir. Let's do it again. Run it back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You too, man.